Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keegan and welcome back to the channel and a new series on this channel all about the Gold Coast Suns trade week and draft period coming up in the next couple of months. So I've labelled this series Sunciety Trade Talk. Pretty obvious name, pretty obvious what it's going to talk about. I thought it fit alright. So what the deal with is every couple of days I'm going to release one of these videos, maybe 3 a week, and I'm going to talk about the situation at the Suns as far as trade week and drafting goes. I'm not going to sit here and talk about every player on the list or every player we could possibly bring in. I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 points of view and 5 topics that I want to just have a quick word about. So I thought today's episode was the best place to start would be Gary Ablett. He's one that's been on the lips of most of the media and football followers for the past 6 months at least, and so I'm going to give my opinion of it all. Alright, first thing off the top, I want him gone. I want him out of the club. I don't care what it costs or what it takes or how little, how much we get back from Geelong. I just want him gone. Now that's different to a lot of what a lot of people think. A lot of people at the Suns and people in the media are saying that they want the Suns to try and stand firm, hold firm, and hope Geelong give up every little thing they can for Gary Ablett. To be me personally, I just want him out because I feel like we can't get a fresh start until his shadow hanging over the club is gone. Now, he's been a great player for so long, and I've loved watching him play at Metricon, but his leadership and his general application to the Suns over the past couple of years has been really, really poor. And I just want him gone. It burns me to say it, but I just want Ablett out of the Suns. So I'm not sure what we will get back. I'm under the belief that the deal's already been done, and pretty much in the first couple of days of trade period, you'll see this trade actually go through. As for what we can expect to get from Ablett, I'm not 100% sure. The Suns have come out publicly and said that they want Mitch Duncan. Now, we all know that Mitch Duncan is not going to come to the Suns straight for Gary Ablett. Who knows, we might throw a draft pick or 2 in with Gary Ablett for someone like a Mitch Duncan, but the hardest part of that is convincing Mitch Duncan to come to the Suns when he's already got a best 22 position sewn up with Geelong. So I can't see him moving. Players I can see moving are players like, and names that have been thrown up are like Darcy Lang or George Hall-and-Smith or Reece Stanley. As far as George Hall-and-Smith and Reece Stanley go, I don't want them. Simple as that. They're in and out of the Geelong team. They're not best 22 quality, and that's what we need at the Suns. Darcy Lang could be interesting. He's only 21. He's still pretty young, and he has a lot of potential. He's had injury problems, yes, but he could be one that we could think about bringing in, using him coming in, and maybe some sort of draft picks or maybe some sort of salary. I don't know how it's going to get done, but I can see something like that happening. Now, whether Geelong want to give up something like that, who knows? But I think this deal will be done pretty early on so we can get on with the rest of our lives and the rest of this trade period. One player that is being talked about coming into the Suns is Aaron Young, who has rumours over Twitter that he has been in contact with the Suns about coming over to the club. For people that aren't aware, he's a Port Adelaide player. He's out of contract this year. He's 24 years old. He's 6'2", and he has 76 games of AFL under his belt. And he would identify, I don't know how he would identify himself, but I would say he looks like he would play a midfield forward role. Someone that plays predominantly in the forward line on a flank, but can rotate through the midfield, which is something we could definitely use. He can tackle, he can kick goals, and I think he'd be a useful person to bring in. He's only 24, so he's not too young where he's down. He's a rookie coming in at 18, 19, but he's not 30 plus. He's not a 30 plus year old veteran. So he hits a pretty good sweet spot. We can still get 6 years, 7 years of footy out of him. And if the price is right, I'd be happy to bring him in. What is the price, you might say? I'd be happy to offer pick 37 or 38. Again, it's not up to me. I'm not a list manager. Got nothing to do with the Suns at all. But if it was me, I'd offer 37, 38 or a pick around that area. Because to be honest, we've got 6 or 7 picks inside from 2 to 37. So we're probably not going to be using pick 37. And if we do, it's probably going to be for a academy player. But while we're trading out other players out of the Suns, there's that big list of 10 that has been talked about. We'll probably get picks in at that around that pick anyway, and we'll be able to use those. So trading off our pick 37 for someone like Aaron Young, while it might be a little bit high in some people's eyes, it's for the Suns. It's not really a big deal. Do let me know in the comments below if you think that's a good deal or a bad deal. If you're a Port Adelaide supporter, are you happy to get pick 37 for Aaron Young, or would you rather hold on to him, or would you rather get more for him? Maybe you want to pick 30 or something like that. Do let me know in the comments below. So the third topic I want to talk about is Adam Saad. Now the rumor is he wants to go home, and that is being pretty obvious, and it's been voiced by more than one source. Basically, usually when I hear these things about people want to going home or homesick, I'm usually very quick to dismiss it and go, "You're soft." I live over here in Manchester, away from all my friends and family, and I get along fine. So if you're getting hundreds and thousands of dollars and only live a 2-hour flight away, I don't get how you could be homesick. But again, that's just me. But as far as Saad goes, I can understand it because he has a massive community and family tie to Melbourne. So I'm willing to sort of cut him a bit of slack. And it is well known that he's had these issues in the past. The Suns have brought up family from Melbourne to play footy or just to be on the Gold Coast to keep him supported. And those families eventually all decide to move back to Melbourne. So I can understand that he is homesick and understand the Suns have been trying to combat this for a while. He's still under contract, so he can't just walk out of the club for cheap. If he's going to leave, it is going to have to be a good deal. He is one that is still, if he was to leave, you can still get some value out of. Talk is Carlton is the front runners, and they're going to have to depart with something that's going to entice the Suns to go into this trade. Do we want another pick in the early 20s? Probably not. Again, we have a lot of those. We don't need many more. We don't really need a lot of draft picks. So it's going to have to be a player. And do Carlton have a top 22 player that they're willing to let go to come to us? And would a player willing to leave Carlton to come to us would be the question. Who knows? Let me know if you're a Carlton supporter down below. Let me know if what you think should be a trade, or if you're another club in Melbourne, would you like Saad at your club? Alright, the last topic for today is talking about Scott Clayton on Trade Radio. Now, it was a pretty good interview. It went for about 20 minutes, and it was pretty good listening. I enjoyed it. I can't catch Trade Radio. I'm not really a big fan of Trade Radio. It's ad radio more like it. You get an ad every 3 minutes. But I'm not a huge fan of Trade Radio, especially because over here I can't listen live because I am obviously on the other side of the world. The reason I did listen is the Suns did put up an audio file of his interview, Scott Clayton's interview on Trade Radio, and he said he actually sounded very, very professional. I was actually really impressed. Now, Scott Clayton over the past has sort of lost me at times where decisions he's made or list changes he's made, and to be fair, this is just coming from a supporter. This isn't coming from someone that has any sort of expert analysis or insight into trading or drafting. That's just from my personal opinion, and all supporters have them. It's not just a Suns thing. There are other supporters that have issues with their own club in many different ways. So I thought, but I thought today he sounded really, really good, and he mentioned two things that I wanted to quickly hit on. The first thing was when discussing the Gary Ablett trade, and I think it was Dwayne Russell, I can't remember, was throwing up names for trade like Holland Smith or Reece Stanley. Clayton basically came out and said, look, we're not looking for periphery players. We're not looking for players that might be in the best 22 or players that can be solid. We want players that they're going to be starting games for us. We don't want players that could be in and out of the team. We want players that are definite best 22 quality. So after hearing the name Holland Smith, this is what he said. So I'm just taking this as a thing that Holland Smith, Clayton doesn't see Holland Smith as good enough for the Suns, which is interesting. So it'll be interesting to see, are the Suns just going to go for value, go for players that in top teams that aren't getting around, like Jared Lyons last year, who still played 20 games for Adelaide. And Aaron Young earlier, I think he's played about 12 games this year, so he has gotten games of football in him, and he has a good record, So they're the type of players we're looking for, not sort of Holland Smith, who's in, out at Geelong. And to be perfectly honest, just in my personal point of view, I don't want Hall & Smith. I don't think he brings anything that we don't already have at the club. In before people say culture or hard work or anything like that. And the second thing I noticed was talking about Matera going to Fremantle. So pretty much by the sounds of it, it's pretty much already done and dusted. The only thing that I sort of grabbed more from it was him talking about Freo offering more years and a better salary to Matera to bring him over than we were prepared to offer. And I could see this being a theme for this trade period. We understand that our list isn't good enough, and those players that have been on the list for a long time that haven't been up to scratch are not going to get offers at all, or are going to get offers that are far below where they might see themselves and they might look at going elsewhere, which is fair enough. I don't want to be overpaying for players that aren't good enough, and I don't want to be paying for players that don't want to be at the Suns. So they're just the two things I grabbed from that interview. It's actually really worth a listen. If you go to the Gold Coast Suns website, it's definitely an interesting listen. Even if you're not a Suns fan, if you just want to hear what a list manager says and how they rate their own club or rate the competition around them, really good for a listen. Do make sure you do listen to it. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for sitting through the first episode of Sunciety Trade Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope if you've got any questions about anyone on the Suns list, or if you've got any comments or queries, or if you think I've slagged off Hall & Smith too much, or Reece Stanley, do let me know in the comments below. I'll try to reply to everyone that does comment down there. Next episode, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, when a bit more news is built up. Hopefully by then we might have a coach. I might talk about the new coaching here, and all that sort of stuff. So do make sure you do subscribe, like the video, and stick around if you want everything Gold Coast Suns on this channel. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.